me, Vicky Marie, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whichever part of this crazy world you're living in. I know, my God, sorry I'm a little bit late, as usual. As soon as I'm about to start live, chaos breaks out, the chihuahua's barking, there's works going on outside, the dog, I have to clear up after the dog. Someone contacts me about Spanish classes. All literally 2 minutes before I'm about to go live. So it doesn't matter what time I go live, it happens. It's almost like the universe is drawing in the energy because it can be so quiet and nothing happens. And then as soon as I'm due to go live, chaos erupts around me. I think I'm going to have to start doing the lives in the middle of the night or something, like, at 4 o'clock in the morning, and hope. He's just, honest to God, it's really, really odd. So there are times I might have to send a message. I'm in a consultation with a student at the moment who's booking in for classes. So, that is my bread and butter job. So I have to, pay attention to that. So anyway, we're going to talk about Hannah Williams. And this is very important case, I think, for me to do, because I do not understand why some people get so much attention when they go missing, or and others don't. This case came to my attention. Oh, let me just say thank you to everybody first. Thank you for liking, subscribing. Special thank you to my members. Thank you to everyone who's PayPal me, and some of you actually subscribe to me on PayPal, and send a regular small amount on PayPal, and that's brilliant. Thank you so much. These things make all the difference to keeping me going with this channel. Thank you to everyone who sent a super sticker. Thank you to everybody, as I say, who's bought me a coffee, PayPal me, sent me a nice email. Thanks to all of you who sent me pictures of your animals, your pets. So next month we're going to do a fun sort of quiz about animals, and we're going to look at our pets, etc., and have an upbeat sort of feel good live. And so thank you. Thanks to everyone who's left nice messages, etc. Okay, so I'm going to take the banner off now. So yeah, I'm going to say hello to the people that are here so far in the chat, and then I'm going to tell Hannah's story. So to me, Hannah, her story is just as important as any other missing girl, but Hannah did not get that attention. Hannah did not get the same media attention. It seemed like the public weren't so interested in Hannah's case as they are in two other girls who went missing around the same time. Hannah Williams disappeared around the same time as Danielle Jones and Milly Dowler. And of course, it was when I was doing the video about Danielle Jones that it came to my attention about Hannah Williams, and I didn't remember hearing about her, and yet I know, I remember the Milly Dowler and Danielle Jones's case. Their photos were all over media, etc. So why not Hannah? Because when I tell you her story, Hannah's story deserves to be told. Hannah had, really an awful time, and then ended up being, murdered by a real horrible piece of work. And her story has not been told in the same way. Her story deserves to be told, and Hannah deserves to be remembered just as much as Milly and Danielle. So let me just say hello to everybody. So hi Kelly, hi BF, hi Teresa, hi Gina, hi Lily Paulie. I think that's it for everybody who's in at the moment. And I also want to say hello to everyone who's watching at home. Not everybody joins in the chat. And I also want to say hello to Replay Crew. Thank you so much for watching. So, yeah, let's have a little closer. So this is Hannah. Now, probably a lot of you have not heard of this case, you know, and most of you that are on her, most of you that are on here because you're interested in true crime, you will know the other two girls that I was talking about, Danielle Jones, you will know. And I'm sure you remember about Milly Dowler when she disappeared, and it turned out, you know, she was murdered by Levi Belfield. And the reason that Hannah's case came to light for me is that when I was doing the case of Danielle Jones, that's when Hannah's name came up, because when they were looking for poor Danielle, her parents, her family, her body has not been found, still not been found, despite the fact that her uncle was charged with murder. He's not saying where she is. They have not found her yet. But while she was missing, they did find the body of a young teenage girl, and thought initially that it might have been Danielle, but it wasn't. It was Hannah. So that's what we're going to talk about. Now, I've just got to send a quick message because I've just been messaged. As I say, just typical. Another victim. When I say another victim, I mean a student. Sorry, it's something I say sometimes. Anyway, never mind. It's probably not an appropriate joke. So, one sec. Okay, so sorry. So apologies to Hannah as well, because I want to tell her story. It's very important. So yeah, so poor Hannah, just she never got the same publicity as the other girls got. And why is that? Now Hannah, when did she go missing? So she was only 14 years old. Let me put a picture back up, because as I'm talking about her, I've got some articles to show you, etc. But as I'm just telling you what happened to Hannah, I'll put a picture up. Let's see. So yeah, she was 14 years old, and she went missing after a shopping trip in Dartford, Kent. So similar areas to where Milly Dowler and Danielle Jones had gone missing. So let's have a look at Dartford, Kent. Again, not they say this is an area that I'm not particularly familiar with. I just have to take a picture off and share this area, but I know a lot of you will know this area. Probably some of you will be from around this area. So this is Dartford. Yeah, in the London sort of area. On the outskirts, isn't it? It's like a London suburb. Hang on. Oh. Right, sorry, I've just got to send a message again. Sorry, gosh. I think I need a receptionist because, when I'm doing videos, of course, but I do have to still deal with enquiries about Spanish classes. Okay. Sorry. Thank you for your patience. Okay. So, yeah, all in this sort of suburby London areas. Danielle was Essex, wasn't it, where she went missing? She was somewhere up here somewhere. And Milly, again, similar areas, in the same sort of areas. In the suburbs of London. Of course, here's Reading. That's where I used to live. I did like living in Reading. Got very fond memories of Reading. So that's where she went missing, in Dartford, in Kent, really, isn't it? Dartford, Kent. Let's put a picture back up. Now, initially, the police didn't really take it seriously because Hannah had a lifestyle where I think it wasn't felt to be unusual that she'd gone missing, according to the police, because the police felt that Hannah had a dysfunctional home life. So when she went missing, there was a lot of complaints that the police treated the case really badly and that it received so little coverage. And this was blamed on a syndrome, which I don't know if you know of, which is missing white woman syndrome. And some people compared her case to that of Daniel Jones and Milly Dowler because it was suggested that Danielle received much more media coverage because she was a middle-class girl with a functional home life, whereas poor Hannah was from a lower class, thought to be from a lower class lifestyle, and her parents were estranged. So it was thought that she wasn't given so much attention. It's like this almost, who is a proper victim? Like people making judgments about, people's lifestyles. And the thing is, it didn't matter because Hannah was 14 years old. She was 14 years old. So whatever her home life was, whatever anything was, she deserved to have the same exposure, the same efforts to find what had happened to her as anyone. Nobody's life is worth more than somebody else's, and certainly not at 14 years old. So it makes me a little bit angry, that's why I wanted to do this video, because it makes me angry that somebody who's deemed to be from a broken home or from a lower class lifestyle or whatever is less important, but a 14-year-old girl. Anyway, on the 21st of April in 2001, she told her mother she was going window shopping in Dartford, but she just never came home. Now, it was presumed, because of her lifestyle, it was presumed that she had run away. And also a friend, this didn't help, a friend reported seeing her long after she was believed to have died. And that a friend said that they'd seen her. So, but that was a false sighting. Anyway, on 15th of March 2002, in Northfleet, Kent, at Cement Works, a body was found. And initially, it was thought that body was that of Danielle Jones. And she'd been missing from East Tilsbury in Essex since the 18th of June 2001. Anyway, it was her clothing that led, they led to a correct identification, and then obviously they would have done DNA identification. And it also was all mixed up with the disappearance of Milly Dowler, because then another body was found in Yateley, and initially that was thought to be Hannah, but of course that was Milly. So this is what sort of struck me when I was looking at this Danielle Jones's case. 3 girls, 3 teenage girls. They thought Hannah was, they thought Hannah was Danielle. They thought Milly was Hannah, and then poor Danielle has never been found. So, all those 3 teenage girls all going missing in a similar area in a similar time. But we remember probably Milly Dowler and Danielle Jones, but I bet there's not many of you out there that remember Hannah. So why is Hannah not so, why was her case not so much in the public eye? Anyway, she was finally, let me just come back to the chat, make sure you're all okay. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Pauline. Yeah. Sorry, what was I going to say? So her murderer was caught. So the only good news in this case is the guy that murdered her, and again, you may not have heard of him. I think not only a lot, are the perpetrators high profile because the victims are high profile? Or do you think it's because the perpetrators are high profile that the victims become high profile? I don't think that is the case. I think quite often the perpetrators, like Levi Belfield, although people might know about Milly Dowler, they probably wouldn't know to name his other victims. I think often it's the offender that gets the most publicity, if you like. Everyone knows their names and don't necessarily know the names of the victims. And I think in this particular case, I think neither Hannah or the killer himself, he's not that well known, but he's killed other women, other girls. So we're going to talk about him in a moment. So the person who murdered Hannah, who was Robert Howard. I'm not putting a picture up of him. We'll see a picture of him when we go on to the articles that I've got prepared to look at. But he was a convicted sex offender, and he knew her. He knew her. He had known her since she was 90. He had known her since 1999. So he'd known her a couple of years. Anyway, he was arrested on the 23rd of March, 2002, 8 days after her body was found. And he was in 2003, he was found guilty of RAPE and MURDER of poor Hannah Williams, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment. So what you're thinking now? Oh, great, predator off the streets, great, life imprisonment. No. So this twonk was not given a minimum life imprisonment sentence. No minimum term was recommended, and there have been and so he was released, and he went on to commit more crimes. He was released from prison after RAPE and murder of this girl. Was this girl's life worth so little? And not only that, of course, he came out and he's done things to other girls that we're going to talk about. Was their lives not worth anything then? Is it, what was that judge even thinking of? If that judge thought he might be let out and kill his daughter, maybe he would have thought a bit more about giving him a minimum sentence. So Robert Howard was from Ireland, from the Republic of Ireland, and he was born on the 20th of April 1944. He was first convicted of burglary at the age of 13. So that's, that's the sort of history he had. So at 13, he was convicted of burglary. At 19, he was convicted of the attempted rape of a 6-year-old girl in London. So this is the guy that eventually murdered Hannah and was not given a minimum sentence despite having these other offences. He served prison terms for attempted rape and strangulation in London, and for burglary and rape in Cork. And he was a police suspect in several disappearances of women and girls. So this guy was a serial killer, probably. He was certainly a serial rapist. And he still didn't get a minimum sentence. So including those of Jojo Dullard of Callan, again, a case I don't know about, Annie McCarrick, a New York tourist in County Wicklow. And in 1993, the same year that Hannah disappeared, Howard was convinced of unlawful carnal knowledge of a girl under 17 in the case of a 16-year-old in County Tyrone in Northern Ireland, whom he'd been accused of raping. So he travelled about. So his offences went for the Republic of Ireland. God, the phone's ringing now. The Republic of Ireland. God, all my phones are ringing. Yeah? Oh, trying to sell me something. Sorry, I forgot to turn my phones off. So yeah, so he's travelled all around and he's offended everywhere. Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland, London, he's moved from place to place and left a trail of abused girls, or murdered girls even, behind him. How did he get away with it? I've never even heard of him. Robert Howard, never heard of him. Anyway, while he was on bail in 1994, so on bail now for the murder of Hannah, another girl, a 15-year-old, Arlene Arkinson, went missing in County Donegal, and she was last seen in a car that he was driving. She has been presumed dead, but her body has never been found. So it seems as though he seemed to know her then as well. So is he one of those offenders that inveigles himself in with teenage girls? Maybe gets to know their parents, their mothers, their fathers. Is that what he does? Because he knew poor Hannah, and it seems like this Arlene Arkinson was last seen in his car. How was she persuaded to get into his car? Anyway, he was arrested 6 weeks after her disappearance, and he was tried in 2005 on charges of murdering her, and he was acquitted. Oh my God, this is I'm getting angrier and angrier as I read this. So he was tried for her murder and he was acquitted because the jury had not heard about his previous offences. So, God, dear me. But apparently, just looking down now at this, that is what he was, a groomer. He was a groomer. He would befriend family members of these young girls. He would befriend family members, and that would be his way in to the young girls to getting into their trust. Anyway, an inquest into the girl Arlene's death began in Belfast in February 2016, and included testimony that his earlier offences made him extremely dangerous to Arlene by the time she disappeared. And a second inquest in 2021 found him responsible for her murder. And the coroner ruled that the police should have arrested him immediately after his known history came out. And he died in prison. This twonk died in prison on the 2nd of October 2015 at the age of 71. So that poor Arlene, her body's never been found. Her parents haven't had the cold comfort of actually laying her to rest. So God, how is it that somebody who's found guilty of RAP and murdering a young girl is then allowed out again to do it all again? Anyway, so the criticism of the media at the time was all to do with this missing white women syndrome, because Hannah lived with a single mother and she came from a lower social class. Her home was dysfunctional and she had learning difficulties. God, I tell you, it just breaks my heart to read this. It's like nobody cared about her because of where she came from. She had learning difficulties. So the comparison in media coverage between her case's coverage and other missing girls around the same time, such as Leanne Tiernan, Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman, Milly Dowler, and especially Danielle Jones, has been noticed as all these girls came from middle-class backgrounds with functional home lives, and they received significantly more media coverage. So poor Hannah, she just never got the same coverage. I think it's tragic, isn't it? Yeah, I think Joanne, he definitely was a serial killer. And we're going to have a little look at him. Unfortunately, we've got to. We've got to have a little, not that I particularly want to look at him, but it's important. So, yeah, he got away literally with murder because after he'd already, before he RAP'd and killed poor Hannah, he'd already done it to other girls. Well, certainly RAPE and maybe MURDER. We don't know because, he's not going to tell anybody that. Anyway, then finally he gets caught for doing it to Hannah. At least you think, oh, well, thank God he's in prison. And the next thing, he's out of prison again on bail. And he's on parole or whatever he was on. And then when he's on bail for something else, he does something else. It just makes my blood boil that this is allowed to happen. I bet if he'd robbed a bank, he won't be allowed out. Or if he'd done something, to some important person, it's like, how dare they treat some victims as more important than others? 14-year-old girl is important, whichever social background she comes from, or he, of course. Doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl, or it's terrible, isn't it? It's like with the Hugh Edwards case. It's like he's an important man, isn't he? He's a middle-aged white man with a good career, and of course he's got these mental health issues which make him want to look at children. Oh dear, poor Hugh. Honest to God, I'm fuming. And the other, because he's not even got a prison sentence for what he's done. And but if you go and protest against climate change, if you're part of Just Stop Oil now, Just Stop Oil, I'm sure it'd be really irritating if they glued themselves to the road when you're trying to get to work or get somewhere. But do you know what? They haven't killed anyone. They haven't RAP'd anybody. They haven't downloaded, they haven't got child porn on their phone. They got 5 years in prison. 5 years for just planning a protest. And there's Hugh Edwards. That just shows you, the values, the values that the elite hold, the establishment hold. If it doesn't affect them, and he's one of them, isn't he? He's like, good old Hugh Edwards, pillar of the community. Oh, he must have had mental health issues to do what he did. No, because he's an absolute twonk and a pervert, and he deserved prison. He deserved prison, and he should have got prison. Don't care about his mental health. It's time that victims were put first and not these twonks. Anyway, so let's have a look at some more information about this twonk. When is it going to change? It's just awful, I think. Just terrible, terrible. So we're going to have a look at this article. So this is Kent Live, and the headline of this was "The Forgotten Murder of Hannah Williams." Let's get up to the beginning. Unfortunately, it's one of those with a lot of adverts. So here is Robert Howard. This is a picture of Robert Howard. I mean, look at the state of him. As if a teenage girl would ever be interested in him. But what he would do, of course, he would groom the family. He would befriend the family and friends of these young girls. And then, of course, the young girls would look on him like a sort of uncle figure or a father figure or a granddad figure. It's a bit like the Danielle Jones thing. It was her uncle, of course, that killed her. It's a bit like Stefan Stearns. What you do if you want to groom a teenage girl or boy, what you do is you get in with the family, don't you? You put yourself in a position of trust. And it seems like that's what he did, because he'd known her for a couple of years. So he'd probably known her since she was 12. So Hannah Williams, 14, and how she was failed by the police and media. Serial sex offender and murderer, Robert Howard was convicted of the killing after the grave discovery of her body in Kent. So the discovery of a 14-year-old girl's body in Northfleet forced the police and media to wake up to the way they investigate and cover missing people. Hannah Williams of Dartford in southeast London went missing in April 2001. Her body was found almost a year later at an industrial site in Northfleet in Kent. So she'd just been lying there, just discarded like rubbish, just discarded there like rubbish by this twonk. So apparently she was subjected to a depraved sex attack by prolific P. Robert Howard. When she fought back, he strangled her to death and dumped her body at a disused cement works near his house. So he dumped her near his house. Why was she not found? I mean, did they even look for her? It's only when they were looking for Danielle Jones that they found Hannah. Why weren't they looking for Hannah? It makes me so angry. So the police and media face criticism for the way that Hannah's disappearance was looked into and publicised. 3 good old Met Police. Do you know what? The Met Police, what are they like? Good God, like people might criticise Lancashire Police, but the Met Police, they're corrupt. They are corrupt, or they certainly were. I had a student who worked at the Met, who was a policeman in the Met Police, and he was quite high up, and he came along for Spanish classes when he retired at 50. He came to Spain, and I remember we were talking a little bit about politics and that, how I like to talk about politics. And we talked about something that Boris Johnson had done. It might have been when the police were called, because he's a domestic abuser, Boris Johnson. The police were called that night when something happened between him and Carrie. He's a domestic abuser, just like his dad. And I said, oh God, well, if it goes to court, I don't know if it was that, it was something. He said, that'll never happen. He said, I'm telling you now, there's no politician, no prime minister, no one of that sort of will ever get arrested by the Met Police. Just won't happen. So what is that? So you can do what the hell you like. If you're Hugh Edwards, you can have porn on your phone. You won't get prison. You can do what you like if you're prime minister, or if you're the king, or if you're the king's brother, or if you're any part of the royal family, or any part of the establishment. Do what the hell you like, because you will never get arrested. And he told me that. He will never get arrested no matter what he does. So 3 Met police officers were disciplined for their handling of the case, with Hannah's mum left feeling they should have done a lot more than they did. Hannah has been described as a victim of missing white woman syndrome, a social theory where upper middle class white women receive disproportionate media coverage compared to males, people of colour, and people from working class backgrounds. Detective Superintendent Paul Fotheringham, head of major crime at the Kent and Essex Serious Crime Directorate, told Kent Live, God, what's going on with the phone today? Hello? So he told Kent Live the murder of 14-year-old missing person Hannah Williams, whose body was discovered in Northley in March 2002, was a tragedy, and our thoughts remain with all those who knew and loved her. The man responsible for Hannah's death, Robert Howard, was found guilty and sentenced to life imprisonment in October 2003. Yeah, but was later released and went on to do it again. Locating a missing person safe and well is of paramount importance, and Kent Police works closely with Metropolitan Police Service and other police forces across the UK whenever it is believed someone may have crossed county boundaries. So what happened to Hannah, and why was she treated differently? Hannah came from a working class single mum home. Her parents had separated before she was born. When she was 4 years old, she was sexually abused by a boyfriend of her mother's and spent some time in care. The 14-year-old was said to look much older than she was, but she was also described as immature and had learning difficulties. When she disappeared on April the 21st, she had told her mum she was heading out to do some window shopping in Dartford. As a fashion fan, she was well known amongst market traders in the Dartford area, around the corner from her house in Elgar Close, where she often went to peruse the clothes on offer. But just 10 minutes into her shopping trip, Hannah took a call from a mobile phone owned by family friend Mary Scollen. The woman had formerly been involved with Hannah's father and remained friendly with the 14-year-old afterwards, sometimes going for walks together. And Robert Howard was living with Miss Scollen in 1999. And in fact, it was not Miss Scollen who was on the phone. It was her sexual predator of a boyfriend, Robert Howard, using her phone. And there he is at the door of his Scottish home. Oh, so he did things in Scotland as well, because he was Scottish, I think. So Miss Scollen did not know about Howard's 35-year record of sex crimes, and innocently introduced him to Hannah, who had visited their home in Mottingham, South London. Police believe that Howard used the 13-second phone call to lure Hannah into meeting him according to the Mirror Online. She was supposed to meet a friend that evening, but she was never seen again. He had abducted her, subjected her to an sex attack, and when she thought back, he killed her. He wrapped her body in a tarpaulin and dumped it in a tunnel at the disused Blue Circle Cement Works in Northley, where he used to live. Her body was not found until a workman used the digger to clear dense undergrowth at the site almost a year later on March the 15th. A blue rope was still tied around her neck from where she was strangled. So the grave discovery of Hannah's body was actually made during the search for another missing girl, and Danielle Jones, and police initially thought the remains may have been that of the Essex teenager, but dental records showed that the corpse was not that of the 15-year-old, who disappeared 3 miles away across the Thames while on her way to school in East Tilsbury in Essex. A description of Hannah's distinctive clothing was recognised by investigating officers, and her mother, watching on TV, rushed to the scene. Oh God, imagine watching the TV and seeing the clothes knowing that it's the clothes of your missing daughter. So this is a picture of Hannah, which she does look older than her age. She doesn't look much like the other photo, I don't think. But she was wearing a black sleeveless top with a gold leaf pattern across the front. Sorry, I'll just make sure I'm not missing anything else. Hang on, where am I? So yeah, she was wearing a black sleeveless top with a gold leaf pattern across the front under a denim jacket, burgundy trousers and leather boots. Her long fair hair was swept back with a gold scrunchie, and she had a fine gold chain around her neck and 2 gold ear studs. Final DNA check confirmed it was the 14-year-old from Dartford, despite the post-mortem being inconclusive. The fact that Hannah's body was found during the search for another missing girl is fitting. Media reports had gone quiet and only ramped up again with the potential of the body being that of Danielle Jones, a middle-class schoolgirl. So the discovery of the body came just months before 2 of the UK's most high-profile missing person cases in history, the Milly Dowler case and the Soham murders of Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman. While the similarities are obvious, all white schoolgirls of similar ages who disappeared, the differences in coverage are shocking. A search of the British newspaper archives by the Scotsman revealed Hannah's story generated only 62 articles, and most of these came after the discovery of the body because it was thought it might be Danielle Jones. A total of 898 articles were published in under 2 weeks about the Soham murders and the extensive manhunt for their killer, who turned out to be Ian Huntley. So the difference between 62 articles, most of which were because it was thought it was Danielle Jones, and 898 articles about Holly and Jessica. Now, don't get me wrong, I believe that, I think there should be a lot of coverage of all of them, but it just seems so different, doesn't it? So in her 2005 book titled Understanding Homicide, criminologist Professor Fiona Brookman discusses the sad circumstances surrounding Hannah's disappearance and murder. She noted, Hannah's disappearance never attracted the kind of headlines that followed the disappearance of Danielle Jones, nor the widespread media coverage of Milly Dowler, despite the best efforts of the National Missing Persons Helpline to generate significant media coverage for all vulnerable missing persons. The media only tend to focus on particular cases that fit in with their publications. The vulnerable cases which generate the greatest publicity tend to be those where the missing person is white, female, middle class, two-parent stable family, and where there is no indication that the young person may have run away. Hannah did not fit in these criteria. She was not the model middle-class schoolgirl. She was from a working-class background. Her parents were estranged, and she wore a stud in her nose. There's Milly Dowler with the twonk Levi Belfield. And Dr. Karen Shalev-Green, director at the Centre of the Study of Missing Persons at the University of Portsmouth, says that ethnicity, economic background, gender and age all impact media bias in her analysis of children who go missing. Her survey of journalists found that a child living in a care home, having a history of running away, a blurred or absent photo and a criminal record can all have negative effects on the desirability of a missing person story. Positive aspects are an appeal from the parents. If the child is in danger, the more personal the story is, a good reputation, good looking, a young age, good grades at school and locality. But it's not just the media who are guilty of this, it's the police as well. Have you heard? So, listen to this, what the police said. The Guardian reports that a spokeswoman from the South East London police area who dealt with the Hannah Williams case said her mother wasn't really press conference material. Her mother wasn't press conference material. What the frig is press conference material? You know, it's she might. Anyway, I can't even go into it because I just get too angry. And he said that the girl's background made it difficult to build a campaign around her. Well, of course, this is how it used to be about sex workers as well, wasn't it? They called them the less dead, because there was always not so much fuss made about sex workers who were murdered. It's almost like they deserve it because of their lifestyle. And of course, ethnicity. I know in America there's a big thing, if indigenous women go missing, like Native Americans, etc. There's not the same attention paid as there is if Americans, blonde Americans go missing or something happens to them. So an insider from Kent Police also reportedly told the national newspaper there are serious questions to be raised about the original missing persons investigation. It's very sensitive, but if Hannah Williams had been Milly Dowler, she may not be dead now. I don't know about that because I think Milly Dowler still died, but it didn't save her from Levi Belfield. But the thing is, it might have saved if that twonk that killed her, if his previous convictions, if he would have been put in prison the first time that he committed RAPE, because he was a multiple sex offender and he was allowed to just keep roaming the streets and pick on more victims. And even after Hannah, and he was, prosecuted for the murder of Hannah and put in prison for life. Even after that, he managed to get out and go over to Ireland and murder more girls. Gosh. Do you know what? I hope he is rotting in hell. In fact, I need to put my hell emoji. I need to put hell emoji on. Yeah. I hope he's in hell. I absolutely hope he is in hell. Now, when I went on to put that on, I noticed, somebody had mentioned earlier, I think it was you, Pauline, about Shannon Matthews. But Shannon Matthews' case got a lot of attention. because of Madeleine McCann. And that, of course, is why she did it, wasn't it? They thought they would get money for it, Madeleine McCann. But also, I think the Shannon Matthews case got a lot of attention. Well, it went on quite a long time, didn't it? She was a little bit younger, but also the community went to great lengths to put it out there, didn't they? You know, the actual community of Shannon Matthews. But you're right, Shannon Matthews did get a lot of publicity, but she didn't come from a rich background. But I think that was because of it, you know, it was sort of correlated with Madeleine McCann case, wasn't it? So look at him. Oh, God, revolting, man, revolting. Just revolting. Oh, God. Anyway, I hope he's burning in hell. I really do. Anyway, the police obviously thought she had run away. So her mother, Bernadette Williams, said the police obviously thought she'd run away. She was happy somewhere. But she said Hannah was very close to me. She would always tell me, Mum, I would never leave you. The police should have done a lot more than they did. It was months before they even interviewed me. Well, that's odd for a start, because she should have been interviewed straight away, because it could have been that she had something to do with it. She should have been eliminated, surely. It sounds to me like the police just weren't interested. They just thought, oh, she's a runaway, she's been in care, she's had these problems. So they didn't even interview the mum. And I mean, really, you've got to start with the family first of all, haven't you? Anyway, while Hannah was missing, Bernadette put up hundreds of posters across southeast London herself, and 3 Met police officers were reprimanded in 2005 for how they handled the hunt for Hannah. But the details of the internal investigation have never been released. Oh, so they did an internal investigation, but no details have been released. Murder charge brings Wolfman predator to a halt. Hannah's killer, Robert Howard, died of natural causes while at County Durham prison in 2015 at the age of 71. His death came while he was on the cusp of revealing where the body of 1994 schoolgirl Arlene Atkinson, 15, was buried in Northern Ireland. He was the only suspect in the case, but he was acquitted in 2015 after the jury was not made aware of his history. So this poor girl is just missing somewhere. So apparently he was set to give evidence at her inquest before he died. I wonder if he was about to tell. So he was also known to have attempted to RAP a 6-year-old child in 1965, a young woman in 1969, before raping in an older woman in 1974, 16-year-old Priscilla Guyon in 1993, Arlene Atkinson in 1994, and Hannah Williams in 2001. And these are just the ones they know about. So a series of inadequate sentences ranging from 10 years to just 9 days in Borstal for the assault on the 6-year-old. Well, he got 9 days in Borstal for assaulting a 6-year-old. God. Anyway, this allowed the predator, self-proclaimed the Wolfman and Wolf Hill werewolf, self-proclaimed, to strike again and again. In 2002, when he was 58, he was arrested and charged with the murder of Hannah. But police fear he could have killed up to 15 other women before he was given that life sentence. But he came out even after that. So they wanted him out of Scotland. Nobody wanted him. He should have been in prison. So there were no witnesses and no DNA evidence, but circumstantial evidence and similar fact evidence was compounded by a traumatized young woman, explaining that Howard had tried to assault her at the same location where Hannah's body was found. And he was also questioned in the investigation into Milly Dowler's murder before Levi Belfield was found guilty of killing her. So there you go. That is, I mean, I'm hoping, I don't know if that could happen now. I'm hoping it couldn't happen again, or is it happening all the time? Is it happening? Is there, how many other cases are there out there? The same, that people aren't, girls that have gone missing or boys, and because they're not deemed important enough by the media or by the police or whatever. How many parents are out there trying to, get find out where their child is? Well, of course, what's her name? Charlene Downs is another one. Though I do think the police have tried to find her at least. Just, gosh, when you hear of that, cases like that, where a serial offender has been released over and over again, how many times do you have to RAPE someone or MURDER someone before you're kept in prison for life, proper life? How many does it take? Why do people keep getting released and allowed to do it again? What the hell is going on? Well, as I say, if you rob a bank, rob a bank, do something against the establishment, just oil protester getting 5 years for just planning a protest. But Hugh Edwards with child P on his phone, and nobody's ever going to convince me that this that has come out about Hugh Edwards over the last year is the first time he's ever done anything, or the first time I don't believe that for a minute, that suddenly at the age of 62 he's got depressed, blames it on the breakdown of or the deterioration of his marriage. It's all his wife's fault, it's his dad's fault. It's everybody's fault, mental illness. But it's not, because he's a horrible person. He's a horrible, horrible person. That's why he did it. And he'll have been doing it for years, like this man. So other women, the justice system let down Hannah, let down all those other girls that have suffered at the hands of that twonk. Just makes me so mad. Anyway, I wanted to do the video about Hannah, because it's never forget. Hannah's as important as any other girl that's ever gone missing and been killed by a P like this. She's been quite good because the Chihuahua's not been out, but the Chihuahua's gone now. Hannah is just as important as Milly and Danielle. They're all important. The thing is, there should be no difference in importance. Just so sad, isn't it? So we won't forget Hannah. Hannah's story has been, I'm telling it now, and I hope other people carry on telling it, because as time goes on, even cases like Milly Dowler and Danielle, it's still important. Hopefully, True Crime Channel, that as time goes on, will still keep going back to older crimes as well as what's happening now, because it's important that we don't forget these things to hopefully help us for the future. But anyway, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time here with me. I will be back, I'm not sure when, but I'll be back at some point. Don't forget to hit like, please, and don't forget to subscribe and press the notifications if you want to see more of my videos. And also don't forget to have a look around my channel. There's lots of other videos, playlists. You know, if it's a bit, as winter sets in, maybe you get a little bit bored here and there. So there's always lots of videos to watch on my channel. But yeah, have a good rest of the morning or the afternoon or the evening, wherever you are in the crazy world we're living in. And I'll see you really soon. Don't forget to send me the pictures of your pets to my email. And I'll see you really soon in the next video. Oh, admit it's just coming in. I'm just going now, admit. Thank you, Gina. Bye, Seffi. So, yeah, take care. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Bye.